In this episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief, I sit down with Ben from New Comet Games to talk all about Inner Sanctum, which is launching to Kickstarter, or I guess by the time you're hearing this, it might have launched, it might not have, but it launches today, the 1st of January. So you'll definitely want to check out Inner Sanctum from New Comet Games. It's only going to be $16 for an awesome card game. So definitely go ahead, and if you're listening before he launches, click on that link in the top left hand that'll say remind me upon launch, and it will go ahead and let you know upon launch. But Inner Sanctum is a set collection. Well, we'll get into that. You'll find out all about it as I talk with Ben, the creator. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is proudly being powered by Snakes and Skulls, Freeblades Fantasy Miniatures, the Chakram Wavestalkers, and the Kondorian Deathmasters for the Freeblades 32mm Fantasy Skirmish game that launches today, the 1st of January at 11 a.m. Central Time. It will be on Kickstarter for 3 weeks, so don't dilly-dally and check out those awesome miniatures and the great skirmish game that just barely is about to launch to Kickstarter. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is also proudly being powered by Syther Gaming. Their new tabletop space warfare 4X refined game will be launching to Kickstarter the 19th of March. Go ahead and jump over to their Facebook page. Check it out. Click the sign up button below on the top of their Facebook page so you can get reminders, exclusives, and discount codes. Definitely check out Syther Gaming that has Overbattle, the all-war game, launching to Kickstarter soon. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is also proudly being powered by Nocturion from Vespius Media. It's a dark fantasy dice rolling, worker placement, and resource management game for 2 to 4 players. They reached their funding goal, they've surpassed it, and there's 2 weeks to go to get on this great game. And if you want to find out more about it, make sure you subscribe to Getting Geeky with Game Relief, or just tune in tomorrow as we sit down to talk with the publisher of Nocturion on Kickstarter through the 15th of January. Last but not least, this episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is proudly being powered by Inner Sanctum, a set collection card game of secret societies. Be the first to reach the 7th level and earn the right to enter the Inner Sanctum. Launching to Kickstarter sometime today. Go ahead and, if you dare, listen to this interview as I sit down with the creator mastermind from New Comet Games himself. Let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Once again, a reminder, if you hear any fireworks going off in the background, I apologize. It is 2019, however.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
The knowledge of the world is hidden from the eyes of normal men. Only those deemed worthy in the eyes of those in the circle can earn the right to learn these secrets and enter the inner sanctum. But only one may be chosen. Will you be the one? What are you willing to do to sacrifice for ultimate power? Beware those who would oppose you. Hitmen, police raids, blackmail, and more to thwart your efforts. Should you sell your soul for the edge? Can you gather the favor of the Dark One himself? Beware those who would gamble everything on that one shot for ultimate power, or will that be you?
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but this is the story of Inner Sanctum, a new set collection card game that is just launched to Kickstarter from New Comet Games, and tonight we're lucky enough to have on the creator mastermind behind that. Is that correct, Ben? Is that how you fall in line with Inner Sanctum?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for rejoining us on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. I remember we had you on, if I recall correctly, when you had the Operation Deep Freeze top secret NWO adventure on. Is that right?
That's correct.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't know you did. I guess I should have known, but I wasn't aware that you did board games as well. That was a RPG, the last one, huh?
Yeah, the last one was RPG, but we also do board and card games as well.
So yeah, you hit the whole gambit. Now maybe somebody hasn't listened to that previous one. Can you go over the story of us of how you got into playing tabletop board games as well as role playing games? How did you get into this crazy world that we live in?
Oh gosh, I've been playing board games since I was about 5 years old. So, grew up with Monopoly and Risk and all the standards that nobody, most real gamers don't play anymore. Was never really satisfied with those. Ended up getting into D&D back in the 1970s, late 70s, and played a lot of role playing games through the 80s and board games and such, and just never really stopped. So.
And you've been playing board games the whole time as well, or you went into RPGs and then come back to board games, or?
I've always done a lot of both. So I always feel like there's room for any kind of gaming I'm into. So.
Awesome. Was there a split? You talked about those first two games not being what real gamers play. Was there a certain game that moved you over to hobby gaming?
Boy, I don't know. Maybe Diplomacy might have been the first, real game I played that just kind of opened my eyes and went, "What? Luck's not a big part of this," and so that was one of the first ones that really opened my eyes. So.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now, are you still playing Diplomacy today, or what current games are you playing these days?
Oh gosh. I haven't played any Diplomacy in years. It takes too long nowadays. Everybody wants these quicker games. No, I've been doing a lot of different things. Some of my favorites right now are Gloomhaven. Me and my sons are enjoying that quite a bit, and just a lot of Muchikoro, actually, believe it or not. That's kind of hit our table quite a bit, and we've been playing that.
Oh, wow. How old are your sons? We like Machi Koro a lot at our house.
My sons are in their 30s now. So.
Oh, wow. And they like it. Cool. I play it with my 11-year-old. She really likes it. But yeah, it's a fun game, Machi Koro.
Yeah. And we actually play at my work quite a bit. So at lunch.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I don't think we play it right, though. I heard them talk about it on a podcast where there's some kind of mechanism where it's like a conveyor belt? We just put all the cards out and you pick whatever you want to buy. How do you guys play?
Well, it depends on which version you're playing, right? So if you're playing the Bright Lights Big City, you have the layouts for the less than 6, and then the purple ones, and then the 7 and greater. But the original one was you lay them out. But now we've got so many expansions and stuff in the original one that we only put out 12. I think they say to put out 10, but we find that's not enough choices. So we put out 12. But anyway, different people, different house rules, right?
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Yeah, so that's a really fun game. We do have Gloomhaven, the huge box, but have yet to been able to break it open other than to look through it a little bit here and there, and other than that. So maybe somebody else hasn't played it yet either. They probably know it's a huge box, but what can you tell us about the play of Gloomhaven without spoiling any plots or anything?
Well, I can't spoil any plots because we feel like we've played it a bunch and don't feel like we've gotten very far into it. There's so much more to do, but it's kind of like playing a D&D campaign without a DM. It handles all that stuff for you with the mechanics, and all I can say is, oh my gosh, the balancing involved to get that to where it's balanced, no matter if you have 2 to 4 characters or what characters you're playing. We always feel like we just barely walk out of every dungeon, just barely alive. It's really a lot of fun. It's an incredible game. So
cool. And if I recall, because it's been a while since we've looked at it, we got the second time it got on Kickstarter, the second print run, I guess it was. There's a lot of characters in it, isn't there, if I recall correctly?
Yeah, it starts with about 6 or 8 that you can start with, and then there's about 20 that you can unlock or something like that. Maybe it's not that many. Maybe a dozen you can unlock. but we haven't actually unlocked any of them yet. So we're still playing with the original ones.
Oh boy, well, again, that it sounds like there either way you go, there's a bunch of gameplay just in that box. I forget what they said, but a lot of hours and hours.
Oh yeah, because each game will run you a couple of hours. So.
Oh wow! So if you were being a designer and all, if there were one thing you could do to enhance either Gloomhaven or Machikoro, what would that be, Ben?
Oh gosh, I I hadn't really thought about enhancing either of them. The Some of the things it has you do in Gloomhaven, I think should be a little more optional. You're not supposed to split up gold and stuff like that, between the characters. I think that's a silly rule. It won't let you gather gold once you kill the last monster. The scenario ends. There's a few little things like that that are irritating, but as far as Machikoro goes, right now I'm pretty happy. I'm not a real fan of some of the cards they put in that. Um, Especially in the Bright Lights Big City, there's a couple of cards I'd pull out of there, but the demolition and things like that. But some people like them. I guess it just depends on preference. So.
For sure. Now on a completely different, well, it doesn't seem like it's like any of those games that we talked about. So on a completely different scale of things, or maybe it isn't. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it. But word on the street is it depends on when they're listening to this. You just launched a Kickstarter, or you're about to launch it. What can you tell us about Inner Sanctum?
Okay. Well, Inner Sanctum is a set collection card game where you are trying to control what I call control set cards, and they're businesses, artifacts, politicians, spells, rituals, and other cultists. And as you collect these sets, you are trying to collect more of the set than anyone else. And once you have done the first round of play and everyone reveals their sets, if you have the most, you move up levels, and then the first person level 7 wins. Of course, there's different gotchas in the game. Of course, it's got a little bit of gotcha in it, where you can send after, like a police raid after somebody to shut their businesses down, or raiders to go collect their artifacts and things. But all these things that you do, you're acquiring corruption throughout this time, and this starts to begin to limit what you can do and how you do it. And then eventually, somebody either makes it to level 7 and wins the game. Of course, there's a shoot the moon option where they can attempt to call the Dark One himself, and if he shows you favor, you can steal the win that way. So, but it's pretty hard and pretty risky to pull off. So that's kind of the card game in a nutshell there. So.
Oh wow! So where did you come up with the theme? Did you start theme, or did you go from mechanics? How did you go about designing Inner Sanctum?
Well, Inner Sanctum started out as a theme. I'm a huge Call of Cthulhu fan. I love the RPG. I played a lot of Arkham Horror. Another one of my favorite board games right now is Cthulhu Wars. Just about anything Cthulhu, that sort of stuff always intrigues me. And I thought about making a game of if I was a cultist inside, and then I started thinking about developing a game where you could move up the ranks. And, I didn't want it to be too heavy, or too involved. So you're trying to take all these really complex, complicated ideas and boil them down into a 30 to 45 minute card game. And that can get tricky, but we think we pulled it off. So.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I've heard it both ways. I'm a big Cthulhu fan, but I've heard people saying that it's saturated. What are your thoughts on that? The theme Cthulhu.
Well, I don't know if Cthulhu can ever get saturated, right? But we've purposely left Cthulhu out of this and made it more of the cult aspect behind it. And so, that's, I feel like there's still room in the genre for that kind of element into it without delving too deep into the Cthulhu side of things, the more mysterious secret society that runs underneath it. So
I guess that way you hit both the best of both worlds. If somebody maybe thinks that it is a little too saturated, you're still in that whole world or the different cults or whatnot, but not having the Cthulhu in there. So that's kind of cool.
yeah, that was the idea. So
Awesome. And if I recall correctly, just recently, the last Kickstarter campaign, if I recall correctly, was actually a Cthulhu wall calendar. Is that right?
yeah, it was not my last one, my previous one. I've actually done one since then. But yes, the we took all the best artwork we had from our first two Cthulhu books and made a calendar out of it. It did extremely well, and matter of fact, I'm about sold out. I think I'm down to about a dozen copies of the calendar left. So right before the new year.
Well, that's pretty good. Now, did you? How many extra did you have when you from the Kickstarter? I imagine you had a little bit of extra.
Yeah, I ordered 300 or 400 extra, and then they've been selling like hotcakes on Amazon and Etsy. So
Oh wow, yeah. So everybody wants to get the Cthulhu for the new year. That's awesome. And now they're going to have a new game in that realm for the new year as well. Per se, me and you were to sit down to play Inner Sanctum. What would that look like, or what does my turn look like, Ben?
okay, so the way Inner Sanctum works is that it's 2 to 5 players, and it does take about 45 minutes to play a game. But you start with a hand of about four. You start with 4 cards, and there's a draw deck in the middle. So on your turn, you'll draw 2 cards. You can either take one from the top and one from the discard pile, or 2 from the top. And then you can play an action card, which are like the gotchas on someone else, or you can you don't have to. And then at the end of your turn, you discard. You don't have to discard. You can collect corruption instead to prevent from discarding. And then it just goes around until somebody has the appropriate number of cards, 8 to 10. And then at that point, somebody will call for the gathering, and all the cultists will gather together and show the power that they have of their control. And then so everybody will put their sets face down and reveal them. And then whoever has, for example, the most politicians will win a favor token from the politicians, as well as move up a level. And it's possible to move up multiple levels in one turn. So if I had artifacts and businesses, then I could move up 2 levels and gather two favor tokens. And then later on your when you're playing, you can use the favor tokens as an additional bonus later. Of course, all these extra little things, you're gathering corruption all the time. And so corruption affects how many cards you can hold, when you have to call for the gathering to go out. And then if you start getting too many, people can steal a card from you at the end of the round. And then also it's possible to actually have the Dark One come and get you if you have too much corruption. So it's kind of a balancing game in that respect, in that you have to balance how much corruption you have with how much what it takes to win the game. So
Okay, and was there a way you went with? Was there a reason you went with corruption as opposed to the insanity that the Cthulhu? A lot of times it seems like those games have insanity built in.
yeah, I guess I don't know. When I was creating the game and I started thinking about the people who are, insanity tends to drive people insane to do crazy things. And I originally was going down that route, but then I started thinking about this, and people, I think of the evil politician, if you will, take it whatever side you want it to be on, and they're the puppet master pulling the strings. And the more they start doing this, the more and more corrupt they become. And that's the way I was envisioning the game. And that's where corruption came in. And the deeper you go into this, the more corrupt you become. And and then it starts hamstringing you when you start getting too corrupt. And that's the way we decided to do it, to go. But that's and then, of course, you do have the option. There is a couple of cards in there that allow you to sell your soul as well. So, and that gives you a huge bonus for a very short time period, but it also adds a lot of corruption to your pile. So.
Oh boy, sounds like it. Now, and if I get more corruption than the other people, I win, or I get up the levels higher. How do I go about telling if I won the game, Ben?
All right, so there's 7 levels, and when you're the first person to level 7, you've won. But if somebody else ties you and multiple people get to level 7, actually whoever has the least corruption wins the tiebreaker. So corruption's something you don't want to get. Okay, it begins to hamper you, and then can also be a detriment later. And then, like I said, if you get too much corruption, you can be put out of the game. So.
Oh wow, awesome. Now, what did others have to say about it, or have you got the reviews in yet?
Yeah, I've got most of the reviews in so far, so I can give you a couple of quotes if you want.
Sure.
So, Settler of the Boards, their quote was, if you have players who like the dark style corrupt themes and enjoy a light to medium level game, this will be great for your group. Let's see here, Rolling Boxcars. I think most people are pretty familiar with them. They said that the gameplay is different each time, and it's relatively quick playing, easy to learn, and oozes with theme. So that's. Let me throw in one more here.
Go right ahead. Yeah, go right ahead, mister.
From the old Throat Punch. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not. They're kind of new on this, but anyway, he says, you feel like a cultist manipulating things behind the scenes. I like Inner Sanctum a lot. It's a lot of fun. Everything it says it's going to be. So I like that one.
Well, there you go. There you have it. And it sounds like there might be a couple others coming from. It looks like Brian's Got Games and the Unfiltered Gamer as well.
Yeah, I didn't. Brian's already done his. I didn't list his quote, but he said he had a lot of fun with it and was some great mechanics in there. And Unfiltered Games, the one I'm waiting on. So they said it's done. They just haven't uploaded it yet. So.
Okay, I know they took a couple days off for the holiday, and then they said they were going to get to uploading. So there you go. Awesome. Now, when it comes to, I imagine you put a lot of bit of playtesting into Inner Sanctum. Was there ever anything you had to pull out because it just wouldn't work for the game?
Well, this is actually third revision of the rules. We've gone through. They've been in playtest for a couple of years, and we've gone through a couple of revisions of the rules that just weren't working. Couldn't pull off the right feel, or the artwork just didn't seem to match what we were trying to do. And the gameplay just didn't feel right. It felt very mechanical, had nothing to do with the theme. And then we went more with actually, believe it or not, a reskin of Muchikoro. And we kind of were going that way, and we kind of liked it, but it just felt too much like a reskin of Muchikoro. So we chunked those rules completely. We don't want to rip other people off. And then we just kind of discovered this and stumbled into some of these, and just working through it. It really feels right, and we think it's a great game. It plays much better than it ever had before, and the more we played it, the more we liked it. And there's different ways to win. Like I said, besides being able to sell your soul or not sell your soul and moving up the levels, there's actually a card that allows you to call the Dark One, and then it gets a little bit of random chance in there. But if you pull it off, you win the game. It doesn't matter what level you are. So, but if you fail, chances are he's calling you away. So, but it's great fun. It's great fun. I've never actually seen anybody do it. I've seen several people try, and nobody's managed to gain favor with the Dark One. So.
Oh, well, yeah. So I imagine it'll come, but there is a way. It sounds like.
Oh yeah, and I expect it to happen anytime we play, you're basically flipping 3 coins and have to get heads on all 3. So there's a chance, but it's slim, So
sounds like it. Now, when it comes to Inner Sanctum, what would you say you're most proud of about it, Ben?
Well, I really like the artwork. I really like the feel that you feel like you are a cultist behind the scenes manipulating things, trying to gather power and get into the Inner Sanctum. it really kind of puts you into that situation and makes you feel like you're part of it. So yeah, we're pretty proud of that. And the mechanics of the revealing sets, and if I don't play enough of them, you can make that decision. Do I play them, or is he got the same thing? And do I wait till the next round, try to get a few more of them? The more you play, the more corrupt you get, things of that nature, and it can be a tough balance. So.
Well, there you go. So yeah, that sounds like a pretty fun game. Now, was there any science behind launching on the 1st of January? Won't a lot of people be busy or tired from partying the night before?
Well, I don't know, and we'll see. I've always kind of been in favor of the launch on Tuesday morning, and finish up on a Thursday night. I think most of the scientific stats, or whatever people do, number crunching, prove those are the best days. And we got a bunch of Kickstarters lined up for the year, and we wanted to kick it off on the new year on the right foot, and we're hoping this will be the way. So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens.
So, with all the games that are currently on Kickstarter about to launch, Ben, why should my fans or my listeners go check out Inner Sanctum? If they like what they see, why should they back it?
Well, it's a great card game. We've already set up with the manufacturer on the components. They're going to be great, durable components, not cheap little thin cards that are going to fall apart. And the whole game's only going to run $16. So, also, New Comet Games has, we have 100% track record. We've run over a dozen Kickstarters. We've delivered all of them on time. But I think we had one that was 1 month late. And other than that, all of them, and usually they're early. So we're a reliable company that puts out some great products. And for $16, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, for sure. And you said sometimes earlier or whatnot, but just so you don't overpromise and underdeliver, they go ahead and back Inner Sanctum. They have till when to back it?
Well, we've stopped running the 30-day campaigns, and now we run the 3-week campaigns. So this will be going till January 24th.
Okay, through January 24th. And so you don't overpromise and underdeliver. They go ahead and back it. When would they anticipate getting their own copy of Inner Sanctum so they can try to overtake the old one, or at least get to level 7 before their friends?
Well, we anticipate it to be out by June or July, but we have October as our estimated delivery date, but we anticipate getting it ahead of time on that. All the artwork is complete. We're going to, revamp the graphics a little bit on the cards to make it, a little snappier. But other than that, things will be going. Of course, we got the Chinese New Year coming up. Everybody has to deal with that. So, but our producer, not producer, the manufacturers already talked about starting it as soon as Chinese New Year's over, and 1 to 2 month turnaround, and then we should have it to begin delivery. So.
Well, there you go. So that'd be awesome. Then they can, they'll be able to play depending on when, like you said, hopefully early, but depending on when on October, if it ends up taking that long, they'll be able to play it for Halloween, it sounds like.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the plan.
So there you go. Now, Midas coming there to Texas to stalk you personally. How would people go about keeping up with you, or what New Comet Games has coming up?
Well, we have a Facebook page, New Comet Games, or you can just go to our website, www.newcometgames.com, and we always have new stuff coming out, role-playing, card games, and, of course, dice. We always do lots of dice, so.
Awesome. Now, speaking of new stuff, I know we're focused right now on Inner Sanctum, but somebody's listening later on down the road or whatnot after the campaign's over. What do we have in the bucket for 2019, or what can you share with us about that?
Well, we have a ton of stuff coming up. Starting in February, like I said, we have a lot of different Kickstarters coming. Starting in February, we have a 5th edition D&D module coming out called Citadel of Terror, which is going to be fantastic. It's we're putting out a new D&D world in 2019 called the World of Darknoth, and written by Gary Van Benberger, and he's the one who did one of my top secret adventures. And then also we're doing the Citadel of Terrors, written by a gentleman by the name of Paul Regal Green, and he helped with the Arctic Blast, or the Deep Freeze top secret adventure as well. So that was those are coming out. And then we also have a Bunnies and Burrows campaign book coming out. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not.
No, what's that, Ben?
Bunnies and Burrows is a role-playing adventure set, similar like D&D, except everybody is rabbits. And originally written by Dr. Dennis Astaire back in the 1981, 82. Anyway, it was one of the first role-playing games put out where people didn't play humans or humanoids. Everybody's basically a rabbit, and 2016, 18 or 19. And this is a campaign book for that. They already did the new rule set, 3rd edition, Bunnies and Burrows, very successful back in the fall of this year, and it'll be releasing in March, April timeframe, and we'll be kicking off our Kickstarter to line up with the release of the rule set. So that's.
So will you be the first online with that? Because I remember, if I recall, you were the first one to come out with the, what do they call them, setting for the top secret?
Yes, and that's the plan. Is we like to stay on that cutting edge there of the new role playing games coming out, and then get campaigns and adventure books out to go with those rule sets. We want to be right there with it. So that's coming. And then we had a very successful board game a couple of years ago. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, called Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting, and that was it was set in the future of dinosaur pit fighting, with mutations, tech upgrades, that sort of things. Anyway, it was very successful. We launched a Kickstarter, I guess, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now. I forget. It's what launched the company, and we've sold out of those as of last summer. And we're going to be launching a 2nd edition version with an expansion pack to go with it. And that'll be launching later this, probably around the May timeframe. So we're really excited about that.
And like you said, probably some dice as well, or different, maybe another Cthulhu calendar or something, or who knows.
Oh, yeah. Well, since we're concentrating so much on the D&D this year, we're looking at doing a fantasy calendar this year. So I'm not sure we'll have enough new artwork for Cthulhu.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, use the artwork you have, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, it sounds like this keeps you pretty busy. I forget if you said before, but do you run New Comet full time, or is it a hobby?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a hobby, but I have another job as well. So yes.
Oh, wow, so they keep you pretty busy. Well, we better let you get back, because you're about to launch or whatnot. We better let you get back to that, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us to talk all about Inner Sanctum, the new set collection card game that just has just barely launched, or you're about to hit that button by the time this goes live.
Yeah, planning on launching January 1st. Everything's ready to go, so...
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us to talk all about it, Ben.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
No problem.
What is this place? What is it doing here in the Leaves computer? Oh, it's Kickstarter Corner with the Leaves.
Well, if you're listening to this, you made it into 2019. I apologize if you hear any firecrackers going off, because I'm recording this on New Year's Eve and people are a little bit crazy with those, even though it's not midnight here yet. They're still doing firecrackers. Been doing them for the last couple hours, and we still got a couple hours to go. But let's go ahead and get on with Kickstarter Corner, shall we? First off, we've got the Final Flicktier relaunch. That's right, boldly go where no asymmetric faction has gone before in this 4X game, featuring a unique dice-flicking mechanism for movement and combat, coming to us from Gabe Barrett. They reach their goal in 12 parasecs or less than that. There's a solo mode, and they only have about 4 days to go. Well, I guess 3 days to go as this project goes through Friday the 4th of January. So you don't want to dilly-dally on this one. If you want to find out a little bit more about it or hear my conversation with Gabe, make sure you jump over and check out the update. It was in their first update right below the picture of the alien Santa Claus. So go see what Gabe had to say all about it. And then if you like what you see on any of these projects, either Inner Sanctum that we just talked to Ben about, or any of the sponsors, or any of the Kickstarter corners, make sure you click our link on the show notes so you can show Getting Geeky with Game Relief, as well as the creators we have on, or we talk about their games, a little support. We really appreciate it. It does go a long way. Okay, you've heard this one hounded over and over again, but they just barely launched, or they're about to launch, depending on when you're listening. According to the creator, I talked to him last night, which will be last night when you hear this, and he said they're launching this game, or this bunch of miniatures, at 11 a.m. Central Time on the 1st of January. Hey, that's today. So you'll definitely want to check this one out. It's Snakes and Skulls Freeblades Fantasy Miniatures. And if you got a chance, if you didn't, make sure you go back and listen to our episode that we released on Christmas when we sat down to talk with John all about the Snakes and Skulls Freeblades world and everything that's great about it. Plus, if you're one of our email subscribers, you'll get a super secret email all about that. If you missed that email, make sure you send me an email at gamerleaf@gamerleafgo.com, and I'll send you that super secret episode so you don't miss out. But so you don't miss out in the future, make sure you subscribe over at gamerleafgo.com. But anyways, about Snakes and Skulls, the Freeblades Fantasy Miniatures, it's the Chakram Wavestalkers and the Kandorian Deathmasters for Freeblades 32mm fantasy skirmish game, launching at 11 a.m. Central Time on the 1st of January, and they're going for 3 weeks, so go until about the 24th, I believe, the 22nd or 24th of January. And man, do these miniatures look great. I am really digging and wanting to get into some miniature skirmish games. So who knows, Getting Geeky with Game Relief may be getting into war and skirmish games. Will that increase my geek cred? I guess we'll find out. Next, we've got Fences, a tile-laying game. It's a family-friendly farming game coming to us from Bearded Board Games. And if you want to hear my chat with Adam, the co-creator, you can go check that out in the update. It was update number 7, I believe. It's titled Have You Heard? Spelled H-E-R-D, but that makes sense as it's a farming game. But this is the episode or the update in which I talked to Adam, and you can find out more about this game and our little chat that we had after the holidays. Well, it was released after Christmas, so go check that out, give it a listen if you like what you hear, and you like anything about the cool Fences farming game. It gives me the feel of Carcassonne, but a little less hardcore, as one of my other people called it, or would call it in one of the upcoming episodes. But yeah, definitely check this one out. You only have through Tuesday the 15th of January, so definitely check out Fences, a tile-laying game by Bearded Board Games. Last but not least on this episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief Kickstarter Corner is Chicken Time Warp. It's a time travel card game in which chicken scientists fight over who gets to escape an endless time vortex. They've got a lot of Back to the Future references, which I love. I'm a great Back to the Future fan. And you know what? We're going to actually have Jesse, the creator of this great game, on to talk all about it on Thursday. So make sure you're subscribed to Getting Geeky with Game Relief so you never miss an episode again. And that way you can find out all about Chicken Time Warp. But in the meantime, check out the Kickstarter page, and if you like what you see on any of these great pages or Kickstarters or anything like that, make sure you show a little support by backing them, even if it's just for $1. Tell them Getting Geeky with Game Relief sent you. Now, it's our least favorite time, your least favorite time. Time for us to get on with our lives, you to get on with yours. But in the meantime, I hope you'll subscribe to Getting Geeky with Game Relief. I hope you'll leave a review or a rating on your podcast catchers. That helps more people find us. And also, don't forget, get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others in the geek fold. And like usual, we'll catch y'all on the flip side. Game Relief out until tomorrow when we sit down to talk with Constantine, the publisher of Nocturion. That is on Kickstarter from Vespius Media. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode again. Anyways, like I was saying before, Game Relief out.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.